my video presentation on Mary Lou Williams. Who? Mary Lou Williams was an African-American jazz pianist, composer, and arranger. Some background information. Mary Lou Williams was born as Mary Scruggs on May 8, 1910 in Atlanta, Georgia, but she grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She was one of 11 children. Williams was considered a child prodigy. She taught herself how to play the piano at the young age of 3 years old. The story of how it all started. Williams' music journey started while her and her family were living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The start of her music journey was a means of survival, essentially. So, when she was growing up, there was a lot of racial tension. Her and her family, lived in between two white neighbors, and her neighbors would throw bricks through her family's windows. And in order to get them to stop, Williams would play music for them. Her mother didn't know that that's why all the violence had stopped until Williams broke her arm and was no longer able to play the music. And the neighbors came to their front door and asked why the beautiful music had stopped. And that is how her music journey started. Genres: jazz, gospel, third stream, and bebop. Career timeline: her earlier years. At the age of 6, she supported her 10 half-brothers and sisters by playing at parties. She began performing publicly at the age of 7 when she became known admiringly in Pittsburgh as the Little Piano Girl. At the age of 12, she went on the Orpheum circuit. Williams became a professional musician at the age of 15. During this time, she played with Duke Ellington and the Washingtonians.
Devil is a woman with a red dress on, a gleam that flits across a rolling eye. The devil is a hand that moves along a satin seam, a softly whispered, sweetly whispered lie. Or someplace where steps that shouldn't go, there goes a word that touched a heart and made it cry.
Where are you gonna run? Where do you think you're gonna hide? What makes you think you're slick enough to take old Satan for a ride? Ain't you never took a notice that no matter what you do, our old friend Mephistopheles gets there just ahead of.
That is definitely one of my favorites. So, 1970 through 1981. In the 1970s, her career underwent a revival when younger audiences discovered her talent. She recorded new albums and became an artist in residence at Duke University from 1977 to 1981, teaching the history of jazz among other courses. In 1978, she performed at the White House for President Jimmy Carter and invited guests. Later that year, she participated in Benny Goodman's 40th anniversary Carnegie Hall concert. Unfortunately, Mary Lou Williams died in Durham, North Carolina on May 28, 1981, from bladder cancer. She was 71. What makes her music unique? Part of her success lay in her ability to translate jazz sounds, the mild dissonances that come from playing between notes on the Western scale and the subtle lope of swing onto the page, and thus into a variety of different bands. One of the difficulties about jazz is that it's very hard to notate it, but Duke Ellington could, and so could Mary, said former metronome editor Barry. She had discovered, because of her particular genius, a way to articulate on paper a jazz pattern, how to accent a measure, and that's why her best stuff is among the best in jazz. The perpetually contemporary Williams, as Ellington famously described her, mastered the language of swing and pushed the genre towards more expansive experimental sounds in under a decade, leaving now untraceable fingerprints in the catalogs of fellow legends like Louis Armstrong and Cab Calloway. And she also sensed how musical trends were changing and got out into bebop and the open arms of cafe society in the early 1940s before swing's decline really hit. So overall, Williams wrote hundreds of compositions and arrangements and recorded over 100 records. And these are my sources that I used. Thank you guys for watching.